That is a panel discussion 2, and it is related to intellectual property and the digital transformation. What's the plan? And we already have our key speakers joining in here. Megha Anand, she's a senior IP patent manager from ANSELL Global Trading Center of Malaysia. So can we have a big round of applause for her? Our next speaker is Natasha Mohunlal. She's a managing director with Natasha Mohunlal and Associates in South Africa. So can we have a big round of applause for her? And the moderator for the session, Demi Liew. She's a legal counsel, intellectual property from Standard Chartered Bank. So over to you, Demi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, DIGITALCONFEX, for having us today. So I'm Demi. I'm from Standard Chartered, and prior to me joining Standard Chartered, I was from a local law firm, a regional law firm actually, called Dyke Ibrahim & Co. So all this while, I've always been practicing IP. My passion lies in intellectual property. In fact, it all started when I did my master's in Cambridge, specializing also in IP and competition. So I was thinking to myself back then, okay, if I were to do something, what is it that I could contribute back when I'm back in Malaysia? So that's how it all started. But that's all from me. Today, it's such an honor and a delight to be on a panel together with two very accomplished women in their respective fields. We have Natasha and also Megha, and I'd like to invite the both of them to give a very brief introduction about themselves. So over to you, Natasha.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Natasha Mohunlal, and I am the founder and managing director of Natasha Mohunlal and Associates Incorporated. We are a boutique law firm specializing in trademarks, copyright, patent, and design services. And we are situated in sunny Pretoria in South Africa. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. After all that warm-up we had from Mitali, I hope you're all awake for this session. And for those who missed the introduction in the beginning, I'm Megha Anand. I'm Senior Manager Intellectual Property at ANSELL. My experience spans over 18 years now. So going that old, my God. And that to an IP, so yes.
Don't look that.
I will give you that comment. So with that, we could start the session with Demi kind of shooting us with her questions.
All right, I trust everyone had a fantastic lunch, and before the post-lunch drowsiness kicks in, yes, the topic that we'll be discussing today will be on IP and digital transformation. What's the plan? So probably you have came across the news about the buzz around digital transformation. In fact, some of our earlier speakers have alluded to that, and your company could be on a digital transformation journey. So today we are here to unravel this buzz and demystify what really digital transformation is about. We are aware that we are speaking to many experts here in terms of IP, but we are here to just shed some light on the views coming from an intellectual property counsel and also a lawyer in practice. So the first question over to you, Megha. Would you mind sharing what does digital transformation mean in your view?
Thanks, Demi, for the question. So a very textbook definition of digital transformation would be companies adopting newer technologies such as AI, cloud computing, 5G, blockchain, all those new words in technology you've heard of, generative AI, basically adopting these technology into your existing processes to kind of improve them, to stay competitive in today's day and age, and at the same time, you're giving value to your customers or your clients. That's exactly what digital transformation is. You could call it automation as well, because you're turning all these manual processes into a digital platform using cloud computing, Amazon Web Services, for example. So this essentially is digital transformation. it is not rocket science, like it's not that big a leap as well. To share some very basic examples, for example, IKEA, we all know the furniture brand IKEA. They adopted digital transformation with simple steps like, if you visit their website, they have their kitchen planner. You can actually exactly draw how you like your kitchen to be and share that plan with an IKEA personnel, go there, pick up the stuff and come. So that digital transformation of allowing you to design something at length, at home, and then kind of getting it back home is also digital transformation. Another very good example would be those who are in Malaysia know Grab very well for your food services, delivery services. When the pandemic hit, they were purely e-hailing service or a taxi service, and pandemic triggered the digital transformation by threefold, fourfold. And from being just a taxi service, they went on to be a super app. Now you name it. You name food, you name courier services. That's how they transformed themselves. And those who work in the IP space know that patent offices, trademark offices, in no time during the pandemic just went online. You name the country, and that country had services for filing online. Pre-pandemic, there was nothing. So that's digital transformation. Just adopting technologies to stay ahead in business.
Thanks, Megha. So just building on that, could you just share with... Apologies.
Something to do with mics.
Well, I mean, just building on that, why do you think companies should embrace or not digital transformation? And also, what are the key challenges or some benefits you see from adopting digital transformation in their journey?
Digital transformation, there are a lot of advantages. I think firstly, like I said, to keep in pace with technology. If you want to add value to your customers, by adopting digital transformation, you have AI, which gives you real-time insights about your customers, buying patterns, purchasing patterns, what are they viewing on your websites. So these analytics really help you to kind of give them the right tailored services, and that's why that's one advantage when you adopt digital transformation. Other one would be scalability. I'm a business with my data saved on local servers. I have to invest into infrastructure. The minute I transform digitally, I'm in the cloud. I can scale up like tremendously. That's one more advantage when you go to digital transformation. So I think these two features give you a competitive edge, and that's the advantage. If you ask me challenges now, challenges are what we spoke in the morning session also, cybersecurity, a very, very heavy topic, but very crucial to transformation because all my data is in the cloud. We've had cases before where social accounts were hacked and we lost a lot of, accounts were exposed. So that's one very, very critical threat when it comes to digital transformation, which is cybersecurity.
I'm going to pause you right there before we jump into the next area that we'll be talking about. Definitely, we will be addressing some of the risks that are associated with the whole digital transformation journey. But before we go on to that, I would like to direct my next question to Natasha. Natasha, from a legal practitioner's point of view, could you share with the audience today what are some of the things that businesses should be aware of to align their legal strategies with their digital transformation, which is an evolving landscape?
Okay, thank you for the question, Megha. I think the first thing that, from a trademark legal practitioner's perspective is to understand the different platforms that your clients operate under. So that would be the websites, e-commerce, mobile apps, as well as social media platforms. Then early identification of IP. So as a legal practitioner with new clients as well as existing clients, we need to consider all forms of IP protection at an early stage in the digital transformation process. Then I would say that proactive monitoring and enforcement. So employing digital tools, makes it so employing digital tools to monitor unauthorized use is something that I would suggest as a legal practitioner, because it's proactive monitoring to ensure there's no unauthorized use of your client's brands, IP, digital assets, as well as, taking action against infringers. The next would be data privacy and security measures that definitely need to be taken into account, where we would have to advise our clients on the data privacy regulations, laws, security compliance in order to protect their IP assets digitally. Then I would say educating our clients is very important, because with the digital transformation brings in challenges as well as opportunities. So legal practitioners should educate their clients on the importance of IP protection as well as how to enforce it. So, teaching best practices is vital, especially in the digital era with our clients. Then I would suggest, when it comes to licensing and collaborative agreements with digital partners, it is important to ensure clear terms of usage, ownership, as well as protection. And then cybersecurity measures. Advise clients on implementing cybersecurity measures to prevent things like hijacking, data breaches, theft, and things like that. Then staying up to date on emerging technology. As an IP practitioner, you need to be up to date with AI, blockchains, NFTs, and what's happening in the digital era in order to be able to advise your clients on, what sort of steps they need to take in order to protect their IP and their digital assets. So, staying up to date is vital, and understanding the implications on IP rights. Then I would think that agile IPL enforcement strategies. So developing quick enforcement strategies like, if you encounter an infringement, you act immediately with your cease and desist letters, your letters of demand, your takedown requests, and things like that. That is something that we need to do as legal practitioners in order to protect our clients, because at the end of the day, they are entrusting us with their IP, and we need to ensure that we guide them along in terms of how they need to actually do this. And that's where we would bring along, the digital tools and things that they should employ. But I'll chat about that digital tool aspect a little bit later on. And then I would think those are the key factors that I would focus on with educating my clients.
Wonderful. And what you shared earlier about monitoring the brands for your clients, that really reminded the days where I was in practice, and we come up with trademark watches and things like that. And when I joined as an in-house counsel, I realized, there are plenty of tools out there, that you can actually employ to help increase the efficiency of your work, and that's just amazing. So we can chat a little bit more about that. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I was going to say, even with me, I actually started at Adams & Adams Attorneys, and then I was poached to start a watch service department for Kish IP. So it all started with me actually opening that watch service department and starting, to watch over brands and things like that, which I still enforce in my practice today.
Wonderful. And of course, as legal practitioners, whether you're in-house counsel or practicing lawyer, we all love to identify the risk and mitigate the risk. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is, in terms of digital transformation, I think we can't really talk about digital transformation without touching something that's so topical these days, and that would be generative AI. So this is something that we are going to be touching on. And Megha, coming back to you, could you just share with the audience what are some of the risks that are associated with the use of digital toolings in this transformation journey, particularly in the form of generative AI?
I think that's the most heated question here, Gen AI. I remember when Gen AI was actually announced, and I was so scared. Should I log in? Should I not log in? Is it safe to use? Till I was told, please go try it and identify risks. So it was commanded on. I think the risk associated with any digital tool, not only generative AI, is the loss of trade secrets. I think not everything gets patented in companies like software code because you're digitizing. You're actually making software that gets into trade secrets. So if anybody enters an incorrect prompt into ChatGPT, for example, or any other Gen AI tool, you are at the risk of losing your trade secrets very easily. And because these models are training on that same data, so you're losing that. That's one of the biggest risks everybody's talking about and trying to mitigate right now. I think other risk also is digital technologies basically falls under software patents. And we've been struggling for decades now to say, how do you get a software patent granted? So when it comes to digital technologies, it's a very crowded space. You might not get patents, for example, you might not get them. So you have to forego your rights for speeding the product into market. And when you forego your IP rights, you have no fence. So you add the risk of people infringing, copying. You can't stop those copycats. So that's one risk which digital transformation definitely poses on to us. I think one last one I would say is also the fact that you lose your trade secrets. It's a risk there, and IP. Yeah, I think I lost my thought. I would leave it there.
Wonderful points over there. And of course, when we have identified the risk, we will always, as any prudent in-house counsel, we will refer to our questions to the external counsel. How would you mitigate the risk?
Okay, so the first would be, as a trademark practitioner, to provide comprehensive IP protection. So from a trademark perspective, getting your clients to register their social handles, register the app names that they have, register keywords, register the domain name. These are vital because you're protecting your digital assets, especially your trademarks, in respect of the different forms that you're using them. Then I come back to the regular monitoring of this. That would be a definite way to mitigate risk, employing these digital tools to ensure that there's no trademark infringements. And once we get an alert that there is a similar mark, we immediately act on it by sending that cease and desist letter, acting on the infringement and taking whatever legal steps we need to in order to protect our clients' rights. Then I think the next one would be domain name management. Secure that domain name, register that domain name. Also employ tools to monitor whether there are domain names that are registered that are similar, confusingly similar or identical to your clients. So that's another thing that you could do to mitigate the risks. Then social media policies. So, developing social media policies is vital and in line with the platform's rules and guidelines. Then I would think that cybersecurity measures are absolutely vital, to implement these measures to protect digital assets from cyber threats, data breaches, hijacking, theft. That is something that we definitely do to mitigate. Then employee training is quite important because the employee needs to understand the importance of trademarks, of IP, and how it works, how we protect it, how we enforce it in order to act accordingly. So I think those are some of the mitigating risks. There's also conducting due diligence on any partners, vendors, and third-party platforms that are utilized to ensure that they are not infringing on any trademark laws or any other regulations to ensure compliance. And then, I think that's about it.
Thank you so much, Natasha. And just building on the point on training employees, I think especially when it comes to utilizing digital tools such as Adobe Firefly or any other tools out there that could help you to generate images, I think that's something that many companies and the marketing team are actually exploring. So we always have to constantly let them know. You, of course, have to adhere with the policies when you're using the tool, but more importantly, monitor the output. if the output looks like a copy, it is likely a copy, you know? So you should employ certain common sense when you're using those tools as well. So I think it's just keep driving those points, educating the stakeholders on how to employ these tools. So yeah, just my 2 cents. Great point. And coming back to governance, you know. So Megha, what are some of the commendable or best practices you think a company should have when they're on this transformation journey?
I think training has already been touched, but training is being touched for employees. I think training is needed also for the in-house councils, because look at what they're throwing at us. First, it started off with, you know, NFTs and blockchains and Gen AI and metaverse. I don't know what's coming next. So I think the councils need to be trained as well with these texts, so that, you know, when you're drafting policies, you're actually aware that what am I drafting for? What is the risk associated with it? So I think training the in-house teams first and then training the employees is one of the governance we need to do. Secondly, I think is audits are very important, IP audits especially, because in digital transformation, the IP gets obsolete very fast. You know, those patents you're filing for won't be relevant, say, in the 5 years' time. So, you know, kind of audit them, see what you could monetize, you know, sell the patents you're not using, or maybe, you know, collaborate with other vendors to kind of go in this transformation journey. Those are the 2 things, and like you both already shared, watching is very important. Watch your competitors, watch what's being filed in the space. So those 3 things predominantly would be like the governance in this area.
Perfect. And just wanted to get also from a legal a practitioner's point of view on this as well.
Okay, so proactive trademark portfolio management is quite vital. Companies like Nike and Coca-Cola, who have established robust trademark portfolios to protect their digital assets across various online platforms, and then your brand protection strategies. So there you've got companies like Google and Apple that have employed sophisticated brand protection strategies, where there's your takedown notices, you know, your watching service that's automated to combat counterfeiting, trademark infringement, and any dilution of your brand. Then I think, as Megha had touched on, the comprehensive IP audits, because conducting regular IP audits is vital in identifying and protecting IP rights and looking at existing IP portfolios and seeing how they align in the digital transformation. Then also agile enforcement and strategies where, you know, as we notice something that is like an infringement, we immediately act upon it with as I said before, cease and desist, and, you know, even if it's litigation at a later stage. Then continuous education and training is also quite important. Providing ongoing education and training on IP rights, digital best practices, which fosters a culture of awareness and compliance in the organization, and staying abreast of the evolving regulatory frameworks within IP. So I think proactively adapting to the changes in laws and regulation helps with mitigating rules and ensuring compliance. And then personally, you know, within our law firm, what we do on a monthly basis is that we have a look. So we've got a trademark watch service which we offer to our clients, which is complimentary. So we've got a designated person to go through the patent journal every single month to ensure that our clients' trademarks are being watched over. And as soon as we pick up a confusingly similar identical trademark, we then immediately report it to the client. And as soon as client instructs us, we obviously act immediately. So that's something that we as a firm, you know, do from our side. But we also have online platforms where you can actually file your trademarks through our online systems. And we are now implementing digital tools where we don't sorry about that, where we don't have to physically, you know, sit and go through each journal, but we employ these digital tools to do this for us. So I think that's about
I think it's really good to see how even law firms are embracing the use of digital tools instead of being afraid of them, thinking that it could actually replace lawyers. Embracing it
Embrace
is
it.
really the
Definitely.
way to go forward. And
Absolutely.
I know, Megha, you are a patent attorney, so I just have a question, a last question really. You know, in terms of digital transformation, not all the time companies want to buy digital toolings off the shelf. It could be the case moving forward that companies want to innovate and start building tools within the company itself. So coming from a patent attorney's point of view, what do you think the companies should do to kind of provide a conducive environment to encourage innovations within the company? How would you incentivize them?
I think a conducive environment to promote innovation. I think inventor awards work really well because the minute you kind of file a patent or you get a patent granted or a design granted, it really motivates them to kind of keep going on. So that's one incentive which really works for fostering innovation. I think apart from that, also because it's digital transformation, open licensing is a very is an area which works very well for digital tools, wherein you don't have to buy or license it, but follow the norms by that open source and kind of adopt those policies. So internally, if you have a clarity of what your team could do or could not do, open source also becomes a very good platform to not invest much but adopt the latest innovation. So I think those two things really kind of help speed up, because everything about transformation is speed. You know, you cannot be late. So a digital transformation has to be speed to market is the main game here. I think those two things work.
Thanks for sharing that insight. So really, I think that concludes the sharing from our speakers today, and we're opening up the floor for any questions. So are there any questions from the floor? Yes, the gentleman behind.
Thank you. This is directed to you, Natasha, in particular, within the South African context. Transformation, when we talk of transformation, we have to talk also within the context of who the holders of IP rights are, insofar as I'm concerned. I've seen jurisprudence that it seems to be conglomerative power to bargain and sort of bully individuals and ideas within a corporate entity. An example in the leading case of Makati and Vodacom, where person has this original idea, but because they developed the idea within the context of a conglomerate, they sort of stifle from, benefiting from that idea. How do we resolve this to facilitate a culture of ideas and innovation, but protecting individuals within conglomerates?
Okay, so we've had a few clients that have undergone the same kind of prejudice, because, as you say, they're being bullied. So what I do is, with those kind of clients, is I try to assist them on a basis where the attorney-client costs are covered at a later stage, and I try to still assist them with these big. So I've got banks that they are against, and I try as a legal practitioner, even though they don't have the funds to continue with this, because that's what deters them from proceeding forward. So what I do personally is I go through the process with them, and we still are going through that, but it is a very long process, because I'm just an IP lawyer with the client who has all these rights, and they're not protected because they don't have any agreements in place. So it's basically their word against the banks. So in order to assist them, I personally go through the venture with them, and then in terms of costs, we deal with that at a later stage, so that they're still protected as a small person compared to the bigger businesses that obviously, bullying. And on a very, I'll say, quite often you get many individuals coming to me saying, this is what I posed to the bank, and this is what they've come back to me with, and I've got no rights, and they've given me a disciplinary hearing, they've now got me out of the organization, and I have absolutely nothing to, progress forward with this because, so yes, there is a lot of bullying, so maybe we need to also look at assisting clients if we can on a pro bono kind of basis, and then at a later stage, deal with the attorney-client costs. But not all legal counsels and attorneys do that. But that's something that I do. I don't know if that answers your... It does. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any more questions? Any more questions for the speakers? Right, so thank you so much for the wonderful session. So can we have a big round of applause for all the key speakers who have joined us today for the very interactive and wonderful topic related to IP and digital transformation.
I will request all the panelists to stay at the stage for the group photograph and ask Mitali to present certificates to them. First, we have Megha, Anand. Big round of applause, guys. Next, we have Natasha, Mohunlal. Last, we have moderator of the session, Demi, Liew.